This is the Best or Worst podcast. And now, here are your hosts, Koji Stephen Sakai and M. Martin Mapoma.
All righty. Welcome to the Best or Worst podcast. I'm Koji.
And I am Martin.
And we're doing today's pod via Zoom. So if the quality of the sound isn't up to normal standards, it's we're trying to practice social distancing and being safe. Even though, for the record, this is considered media, and so it's considered essential activity. So it is one thing that you could do that we could go out for. So just as an FYI. But Martin, how are you doing?
I'm not getting close to anybody. I'm okay. It's funny because it's rough because just worried about this whole thing. I have asthma, and it's been kind of a messed up couple of days with this whole thing going on. Every time I get tight, I get short on breath. I'm like, oh, what's happening? And I've had a couple of scares for me personally, but other than that, I'm alive. My kid's alive. My wife's alive. We're all doing well. We're shuttered in. The good thing is about this whole thing is that I've been able to grill like crazy, and I've gotten some projects done that, oh man, needed to so get done. So that's always been good. How about you, dude? How are you doing?
I've been good. Just been super. Actually, it's been crazy because the virus has actually done made Hollywood busier, if it's possible. Only because now so many producers and production companies are home now. So because they're at home, they can they have more time to read and listen to pitches. So I've been pitching a lot. I've been hired to write a ton of stuff, and so it's been challenging because, as you are, I'm sure too, I'm the second grade teacher at my house, and also trying to write all these projects. I had a project that I had to write like 2 weeks, a feature that I'd read 2 weeks, which was crazy. And like I said, I'm pitching like almost every day, and all these producers who haven't talked to me in like months are like reaching out to me and finding out what I have available and stuff. So it's been crazy, but it's been good.
That's got to be cool. Yeah, for me, it's all the online training stuff has been crazy. I already had clients from before, but now I picked up a few more clients online, people who are trying to work out from home. So that's been kind of a nice thing to go do. And yeah, I talk about being a second grade teacher. Grayson's homeschool teacher's in trouble because she's been drinking on the job. Or say he's been drinking on the job, which I haven't. But who's happy about this whole thing? All those homeschool kids. They didn't even miss a beat. Yeah,
homeschool kids are weird though. So
you're telling me?
They're super.
Don't even get me started on that, dude.
I told you that I used to work at the museum, and I used to run the school programs, and you could tell like the homeschool. I mean, just from like a far away, we used to play this game where I would look at the kids and I could tell like how wealthy they are and if they're homeschooled or private school or public school. It's pretty funny. It's like, and you can tell
how
the homeschool kids are different. Like the way they stand, the way they interact with each other.
Oh yeah, they are.
It's very, very different. And this is probably a long rabbit hole that we don't want to get into, but it's very interesting to see kind of the differences of the socioeconomic status and kind of how the kids behave, because it's actually the opposite of what people think. A lot of the kids from not such great schools actually tend to be more subdued and tend to like stand there and not like cause a ruckus, where the kids from the better schools actually usually tend to cause a ruckus. But all right, well, let's I'm sure we have a lot to talk about. I'm sure in the episode we're gonna talk a lot about the coronavirus. So let's just get into it. This was your idea, so you want to introduce it, Martin? Tell us a little bit about what you were thinking.
Sure. So this thing is an unprecedented situation, and I've come across a lot of people. This is going to be the best or worst in people during this whole pandemic. That's what we're going to talk about: the best and the worst, and because there's so much to talk about. I don't even know where to begin. I've been blown away, but I'll start. By the way, did I already ask you how you're doing today, Koji?
You did ask me already, so don't worry. So let's get into it.
I'm a little delirious.
So you're gonna take the first question.
Yes, I will take the first question. Go ahead.
So, what's the best part of the pandemic so far? I know you want to talk about the worst, but I want to hear the best for you.
No, you know, you're right.
The best in people.
Yeah, it's easy to go with the worst because there's so much. The best in people I've seen, one of my former colleagues, she used to have she's really big into Pilates. She's actually a writer too. Um, she's making masks. I don't know where she got the company from. Her husband's pretty resourceful, but she's taken it upon herself to make masks, and she's doing a great job of it. I think this is really cool. That's one example. Another example I'd tell you is you'll kind of learn who cares about you and who really doesn't, because I've had a lot of people check up on me. I had a big slew of cousins and family check up on me out of the blue, and that was kind of nice. Um, there's all kinds of stories going around out there. There's one about this cop that pulled a lady over for speeding, and she didn't have a mask, and she was going to the hospital, and he gave her a mask, which I thought was pretty cool. Um, it's some of the best things about it. Seeing people being very resourceful. That's been pretty impressive. This pandemic is a catalyst for seeing the best or worst in people. And as far as I've seen a lot of good. I've seen a lot of friends. Of my kid, he's done so much FaceTime. And God, I'll tell you this. One nice thing about it is everyone gives video games a hard time. Let me tell you something. If you have a kid who's been in school, not homeschooled, been in school all this time, and all of a sudden they're at home quarantined, then I'm sorry. This situation is unprecedented. No one can look back on this and say, "Oh, remember when this happened or that happened?" Social interaction online has been a godsend for him. Because this past weekend, he was online with one of his buddies. They both have Switches. And they played for like 4 hours one day. The next day they played for almost 6 hours. And normally that'll be like a little too much. But when you have no interaction with your friends from school, it was like they had been in the desert for 2 weeks, dying of thirst, and then someone handed them a hose that was hooked up to a water source, and they just drank and drank and drank. And my kid was totally rejuvenated. I mean, his whole demeanor changed, and I felt so happy for him. And the same time, I felt so bad because he'd been that isolated. This is not a normal situation. And we can give our kids a certain amount of normalcy, but who are we kidding? I mean, can you look back on this and say, "Oh, remember when we were quarantined?" Never, never in our lives. Since the Spanish flu, we've never had to be quarantined like this. Besides in war, when they were bombing.
People weren't quarantined in the 1918. I don't think either.
Don't start bringing out facts for me, Koji. Don't start bringing out facts.
I liked that you were looking for your answer for a while there, and you came around to it. I liked it.
Wait. So, are you saying that I was rambling?
No, you're. Because I could almost see your brain working through that answer. Like it was pretty funny.
Very Scott. You seeing my brain working? I can barely see it work myself. But yeah, that's some of the best things I've seen. I've seen people step up, dude. It's one other thing too. I've learned more about my neighborhood in the last 2 weeks than I had in my entire life living here.
Nice. Well, my best thing is I just see a lot more parents and their kids playing and hanging out and running and doing a lot of exercise outside. They're riding the bikes and I'm doing a lot. I'm playing a lot more with my kid, obviously, because it's just me and him. So we're running around more. I'm running every day. I'm big biking.
Just you and him.
Well, me and my wife too. But I mean, outside it's just me because we're just most of the time. My wife's working the whole time. So I'm just we're spending so much time, and it reminds me of a story about the everything comes for Japanese American. Everything comes back to the internment camps or concentration camps. And like one of the lessons out of that camp, like I don't think I've ever told you this, but like if you interview volunteer or people who were in these camps and you like talk to them, and it's like what's really interesting when you talk to these people is how their personality really makes it like colors how they remember this tragedy, this tragic experience, right? So if you're really positive, they tend to remember only the positive things. And when they're negative people, they tend to remember only the negative things. And so I've always but it's the same event, the same place, same things happen, So if you talk to like a person who's negative, they'd be like, it was the worst thing that ever happened to me. It ruined my life. I've never recovered. And then you talk to other people and they'll say, this was like the best thing that's ever happened in my life because I got to know my parents, I got to do this, I got to do that, whatever it is. And so this reminds me of that situation because I remember a person telling me once when she was incarcerated in one of the camps, and she said, the best thing about the camps and the thing I'm going to always be thankful for, I mean, minus the fact that we lost our constitution and all that stuff, right? But like the thing I'll remember is that I got to know my mom and dad because my mom and dad were so busy. They they were immigrant parents, so they were like constantly working, and she never got to know them. And now for the first time in the camp in these 3 years, she was given a chance to actually get to know these people. And so it's just a really interesting way to like think about this experience. So like when I think about the best of this, I think about all these parents, including myself and you, we're getting to know our kid in a way that's like different, because it's like on a regular school day, I drop them off, I do my shit, I come back and I pick them up and I drive them somewhere else. But this is like the first time that like we're spending so much time together, like
so
literally
true.
every second of our day is, it's great on one hand because we're spending so much time, but we fight a lot too now, but, but it's like,
I was going to ask you,
we're fighting.
I know you fight. I know you're having a good time with it, but are you driving him crazy? You must be.
We drive each other crazy, but it's good. But but I do think that that's the best thing. So when I go outside and I'm running or we're biking or we play baseball at the park, me and him, we're like, and I see these families, I'm like, that dad would never be with that kid on a Thursday afternoon at 2 o'clock or 1 o'clock. And the fact that they get to spend time together, it's awesome, and I think that
it is cool.
That's the one thing that people should think like this is the time to like really spend. I mean, that's why in like China, did you see the divorce rate went up after the quarantine went out because like people are like, fuck this, I don't want to deal with these people anymore. but it's also the opposite, I think too, right? It's like I bet a lot of these kids have never seen their dad around. We're different because we're involved dads, but like they get to see their dads because their fucking dads can't work anymore. Like their dads are gone. So anyway, I think that to me is the best thing I've seen around.
Yeah, that's cool. I should have touched on that too. But being around my kid has been so much fun. Except just homework, dude. Yeah, we've done some cool things. He always wants to wear a camelback when we go walking. It's so cute. We're going like not even a mile. He wants to wear a camelback like he's running a marathon or something. It's been pretty fun. Yeah, that's good. That's good.
We were hiking. We're still hiking.
I like so.
We're going climbing.
Dude, what's up with that, man? I thought you were a social distancer. I mean, you were pretty good at it.
No, we're super good. Nobody's on the trails that we're at. We're like on like trails that nobody goes to that we could hike into. Like we're totally. I mean, we're climbing mountains. Like I'm gonna make this kid an outdoor kid. I mean, he was on that raw. I like posted it on my Instagram. Everybody, Sakai 1. On my Instagram, I had my kid climbing this mountain, and it was super steep. I mean, the videos don't do justice.
Steep, dude.
And he was super scared, and we're obviously not using ropes because that would be lame. But
yeah, sure. If your 7-year-old kid falls down, who cares? 8-year-old, who cares?
And we were climbing, and he's just super scared. But like, that's another thing that we could never do because we have so much shit all the time. And for the first time, it's like, no, we're gonna go to like these spots that I used to hike at when I was a kid. And we go with him all the time anyway, but like now it's like much more frequently, so we could keep going to the same place and really get to know the things. But yeah, I mean, I think this is moving along. This Zoom thing is a thing. All right, so tell me your worst. I know you have a lot to say about this, so I'm excited to hear what is the worst people you've seen so far in the Corona apocalypse, which is what I've been calling it lately.
Can you hear me? Yeah. God, the worst I've heard. Hold on, you can hear me, right?
Yeah, I can hear you. You're fine.
Oh, okay, good. Sometimes this thing looks a little funny. Oh, the worst have been the deniers. The deniers have killed me. I mean, I am blown away by how people like online are still saying, "Oh man, this thing's being blown out of proportion," and I don't know what else has to happen for people to see the seriousness of it. But I will say, I'm probably gonna. I don't know if I can even go there. It's a little too personal, but I feel for all the families that have lost people from the coronavirus. But some of the worst things I've seen are people getting beat up. Like for example, in the Asian community, the violence against the Asian community has gone up, what, 300%?
Well, yeah, because everyone calling
Like,
it the Chinese virus now. Yeah.
yeah, like this one family, the wife was telling me
Excess. Oh, sorry.
this guy this guy just like stabbed a whole family, like
Yeah,
even a 2 year old
Texas. Yeah.
baby. What the fuck,
Yeah. It's
you know?
it's
And
it's
it totally goes against. It totally makes no sense. So if you're scared of getting the coronavirus, why in the fuck would you go near someone who has the coronavirus?
well,
It's so stupid.
they're blaming us for all the stuff. That's why, like, we go out. I'm always like, dude, where are these people? I want to meet these people
I
because
know,
a lot
right?
of my,
Right?
I mean, a lot of my friends have, like, a lot of my friends have been harassed and
Really?
bothered. Yeah, yeah, I know people who have been like, and I'm just like constantly, I'm like, oh, where are these guys? Because even like with my son, like when we've gone anywhere where there's around other people, I'm like, just be careful. Like just like keep your eye out on what's going
Oh,
on
little guy.
because you
I
don't
gotta
know.
tell you, man, it's a good time to be black.
Well, that's why they thought Ebola, right? I mean, the same thing with
Oh
Ebola
man,
was with
but even,
Africans.
yeah,
No,
but
it was. It
I
was.
didn't get a hard time with that one.
Well, it's because it didn't blow up like this. But if it
No,
did,
it
they would
didn't.
start to go after like black people, right? They'd be like, oh, it's a black virus or
If you
whatever.
have an accent, though.
Yeah. Well, they don't care. Nobody cares. I mean, like
No,
they don't care about Asians with accents.
that's true. It's so, it's trying to rationalize racism, which just makes no sense. So yeah, that's some of the worst. The one more worst thing is there's so much bad, and I don't want to go into it because this I, I will say this: these people who are out there, like the governor of Alabama, who still refuses to have people social distance. Part of me, I'm thinking it's the South, these fucking idiots, in their Confederacy. When she's like, "Yeah, we're not gonna self social distance, and we're still gonna go to church," and I'm just gonna say that I get a tiny little smile on my face. I know that sounds horrible, but you know what? It's like, it's when your stupidity has real life consequences. This is what fucking happens. And I know it sounds horrible.
So
Does
you
that
want
sound
people to
horrible?
die. You want people to die, basically,
No,
is
I
what
don't
I'm
want
hearing.
people to die. I don't want people to die. I'm tired of trying to explain to people how bad this thing can be. I'm just like, you know what? Go ahead. You're calling the herd as far as I'm concerned. The
Yeah.
only problem is that people who are trying to social distance and be responsible, they get caught up in that trap, and it sucks.
Yeah.
Because there's always one in every family who's like, oh, this is ridiculous, and they want to go out and do their thing, and then come back and they affect someone who can die from it. That's a sad part of it. But these people who are, oh fuck, this thing is just a hoax or whatever, or the blame proportion. I'm like, go ahead, dude. You go ahead and not social distance. I'll see you on the other side. I have no pity for them. You can't fix that kind of stupidity.
Yeah.
You just can't. And I gotta tell you, man. I was watching watching Trump yesterday, I think it was, and you can tell that he's getting scared. And then I'm not gonna. And I don't know if it was Jim Acosta or from CNN was like kind of badgering him. And for one moment, I was like, dude, let this guy do his. I'd never thought in millions I'd say that. I was like, let this guy do his thing. But they kept pounding him, and I could see, and you can see that he's in way over his head. Thank God he has Anthony Fauci, Dr. Anthony Fauci, there. But yeah, the worst is just the stupid violence, this hoarding, in the stores, the toilet paper. Go figure that one out. And then the racism. It's so dumb. It's so dumb. Some of the bad things. Other bad things. It's the school year's over.
Yeah,
These kids aren't
they already
going
called
back.
it. They already called it
Yeah,
at my
yeah,
school.
they did. It's in the economy. Oh God, dude, it's people are saying that we're in a depression. They're like, this is no recession. This is a full on depression. Or
Well,
the beginnings
I don't think it's a depression
of
yet. Yeah.
the beginnings of a depression. I mean, well, think about it. How are we going to recover from this that fast? There's no way.
No, yeah. But
I
it's
mean,
yeah.
there's no blueprint. There's no rule book that explains how you come out of something like this. That's some of the bad stuff. It's
Well,
and this idea. Go ahead. One last thing.
Okay.
This Dan King or Pat King from Texas saying that we should sacrifice old people to get the economy going. They take a bullet. That to me was the worst of the worst. And then Britt Hume's reasonable, reasonable way of thinking. That kind of stuff boggles the mind to me. That's some of the worst stuff I've heard. It's just, sacrifice humanity for the sake of the economy. And I say to that, it's like, if ever there was a reason to think that all they cared about was money, this is it right here.
Well, actually,
Because this isn't about jobs. This isn't about your business. This is about survival right now. Survival.
Yeah, but to be fair, if you want to follow your logic about the Alabama situation, it might be a good thing, because one of the things that I haven't heard people talking about is the demographic change that could happen.
Oh, it's going to happen. It's going to be a lot of blue states.
No,
It's going to be a lot.
Not only just blue states. I mean, one of the reasons the majority minority is 2050 is because the elder population is mostly old white people, and the younger people tend to be people of color. And so you have a really high death rate of people who are older, and all of a sudden the demographics go faster and faster and faster. So it actually is it's going to have the opposite effect of what people are talking about. But can I mention a real positive thing that I'm seeing, by the way?
Oh, so now I'm just go ahead.
Real quick. Sorry that then I'll say something negative too. But something that really resonates with me always is I think this is a watershed moment for our kids. I think that this is for their generation. I've always said that our kids' generation is going to be the greatest generation. And I think I've told you about this book that I've read. It's called The 4-Generation Cycle. And our kids are at the bottom end of that cycle. But, the other 4 generations that have come before, or the 3 generations that come before this one, have been, the Civil War generation, the greatest generation, World War II generation, and then the Revolutionary War generation. And so I think that our kids are in this is going to be really important, because I think this is going to change things, for them, for this entire generation. And I think that, I think just like the Great Depression changed everybody, and World War II changed that generation, I think the same thing is going to happen with these kids. Like they see that guy from Texas, they see that, they see everything that's happening. And now all of a sudden, like, money's different, like, for example, even like the everyone first was like, Andrew Yang's crazy. And now, like, everyone's like, "Where's my $1,000 a month?" So I can't hear you. You're on mute, dude.
No, exactly. You're right. No, it's true.
Yeah. But let me do my worst one real quick, and then I think I wrote it down here. Let me pull out my.
Of course
notes.
you did.
Yeah, I mean,
you're very thorough, bro. I got to give it to you.
My worst is similar to your worst. I think it's the thing that really bothers me are just the people that don't believe in the only way we could get through this is actually through the herd immunity, right? That everyone has to get through it. Everyone has to kind of socially distance themselves. And that it's like the same people who are anti-vaxxers who are like, I don't need to take this vaccine because if everyone else takes it, I don't need to take it. And like, come on, that's the kind of thing that's going to change, I think, with these kids, is that this is a watershed. This is like their kids' 9/11. This is like our kids' 9/11.
This is a watershed moment.
And that there's like a world before this and there's a world after this. And I think that the kids are going to see like how much bullshit that the society was about before. And that, like, I think things will fundamentally change, and I think that those people who are like, I don't believe in science, I don't believe in vaccines, I don't believe in whatever, I don't believe in global warming, all those people, like, this is a perfect example of like what goes wrong when you have a person who doesn't believe in shit and isn't a good administrator.
And the thing about it's funny you say that, because I have to ask you. I mean, what do you say to people who to this day are still like, well, I think this thing's being blown out of proportion, or I think people are still overreacting? Do you listen to them and just? I mean, because I've stopped saying anything because it just boggles my mind. Before I forget, you're right, because all these anti-vaxxers and anti-global warming people, that denial had no immediate effect on them. These people who are denying that this virus is out there, it will kill them.
Yeah, well, I mean, the anti-vaxxers have affects them, right? Because they could get the measles or whatever.
But this is a little
not on a big scale. Yeah, not on a big scale. I mean, yeah, I think that's like I don't mind people debating, right? But I think what it is like this, like, I don't care what you say, like, I don't care what these scientists say, like, they're totally wrong because I don't believe it.
Those people kill me, and the ones who are still saying it's just a flu.
Yeah,
it's oh God. It's
well, the thing that really bothers me is when the people like compare they say, oh, like 30,000 people die from the flu every year or whatever the number is, and like it's like 30,000 divided by the number of people that have the flu is like nothing versus what we have now, compared to the number of people with cases. It's way bigger.
And not to mention, we're at the beginning stages of this. Like people are like, oh, look at swine flu or Ebola. Look how many people died from that. There were more people that died from that than that died from this. I'm like, yeah, we're like 3 weeks in, you fucking muppet.
Muppet, that's a good one. But yeah, I think it's. I mean, I've talked to my kid a lot about how, like to think about like how our society was being run. Like we have a president who's just. I mean, like whatever. Like there's a lot of deficiencies with him, but the biggest thing is that he's not a good administrator. You know what I mean? He's not like he's not a good guy who could like plan, right?
He is playing way out of his league with this whole thing.
Yeah, and that it just goes to show that like I don't want a fucking guy who I could sit at a bar with and drink beer with. I want a guy who's smarter than me, who could figure it out and get the right people in the right places. Like I mean, here's the crazy fact that I read. Right, South Korea and the United States had the first death on the same day. And look at where South Korea is, and look at where we are, right? Like
this is going to come back to haunt him in so many ways. And a lot of people, like look at Lou Dobbs on Fox Business or whatever, who said that, you know what, don't listen to Dr. Fauci, listen to the president. And I'm like, are you serious, bro? Listen to the president over Dr. Fauci. Here's my thinking on that one. I said, I'll tell you what, next time you go to the hospital, don't actually get a doctor. Get some fucking jamoke off the street, give him a medical book, and then let him work on you, Or take it even a step further. It's like saying, I don't need surgery from a real doctor. I'll just have my buddy over here read a medical book and he can do it. Same thing.
All these people, though, I mean, that's the thing that really frustrates me is the hypocrisy. It's like, yeah, you don't believe in Obamacare, but the first moment that you need to get a doctor, you can't afford it. You're like, I want a doctor, or like
I want a real doctor.
They're bothering about socialism, and all of a sudden they're like, I want $1,000 a month for nothing. Like come on, man. Like you can't. You were talking to me about fucking. That like Bernie Sanders is a communist, and now you're like you're past Bernie Sanders and you're socialism.
They want that paycheck. They want that paycheck.
And it just goes to show where America's like even when we were strong, our economy was strong. It was never strong. If you listen to when I'd rant to my friends' dads on the way home from dropping off my kid, and I'd just be like, this economy, it's not strong. It's not as strong as everyone thinks it is. And I think this just goes to show like how weak it is. But I think we're nearing the end of this podcast. It was great to be able to do a podcast with you again. Did you get a chance to listen to me and my son? You're muted again.
I did. I love that kid so much, dude. He's so awesome.
Sorry,
I'm trying to.
Sorry about calling you old on that one.
I am old, dude. Look at this. Dude, I'm going to grow this out.
Nice.
And I'm going to. So we also told the kid that we're going to. She wants to let his hair grow out until school starts again, which is pretty cool.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, it's gonna be a lot of hair, dude, because his hair grows fast. Is your little guy asleep?
Yeah, he's asleep now.
Oh, man, I love that kid. All right.
Well, thank you everybody for listening. It was great to be able to do this pod. We're gonna try to do it more often now that we.
Yeah, we can do this. God, we could do one a day.
We can't do one a day.
I know.
But please rate, review, subscribe to our podcast.
Please. Yeah, and also, I hope my comments didn't hurt anybody's feelings, but it's just the way I feel. I don't want anybody to die. I just wish people would be just smarter about this whole thing. But,
But sometimes people, there's, I think there's a reckoning that has to happen. And I think that unfortunately, people are going to die.
This is
whether we want to. It is. And I think this is either going to break our country or make it stronger. And I think that this is an important thing. And we were heading toward that the whole time. I think we've been heading toward that for years and years and years. And this is either going to bring us together. That's why it's like super frustrating. Also, I'm going to go on high horse real quick. Like if we had a real president who could like unite us, who could like really bring us together, this would be that time that we could be like, all right, we could all get behind this. We all could be Americans. But instead he's like Democrat hoax. It's like
it is amazing to me how many missed opportunities this guy has had.
Yeah.
To unite the whole country.
To do like the 9/11 thing, right? To do like all he has to do is go to if I were him and I was on his administration, I would be like, hey, let's go to Washington. that stand in front of that stupid senior center and like have a mask on and say, "We're all Americans. We're gonna get through this together."
Dude, no way.
And then he would have. I mean, but if he did that, like that's like the 9/11 thing with Bush. That's like the Giuliani thing. You know, it's like that's the moment. It's an easy moment, and all you do is tell your aides, clean that fucking place before I get there. Don't let me touch anything. And we're gonna get in there and get out and do that, and it'll be like 2 seconds. He's a fucking president. You know?
Yeah, Giuliani on a side note, he's lost his rep. I used to think that guy was the boss, dude. Now he's just a fucking joke.
But that's how easy it is that even he could know what to do on 9/11 to make it like right. Like all he stood on the rubble and said, "We're Americans." You know?
I thought it was awesome, and now this from him.
But it's so easy. It's such an easy moment that he fucked it up because he's this idiot. All right. Anyway. Okay. Sorry. All right. Please rate, review, subscribe to our podcast. This is a labor of love. This is something we do. And please find us on all the social media. We're all Best or Worst Pod, right?
Best or Worst Pod.
Martin, it was great talking to you. We'll keep to be able to do this. So
Koji, for sure. All right, man.
All right. Take care of yourself.
All right. You too.
Bye.
You too. Say hi to the family for me.
Will do. You too. Bye.
Bye.